When it comes to Super Mario Bros. For the NES, no other game has been more revolutionary nor a keeper of so many hidden levels. So today, we're going to decode why this game was so popular and explore all those hidden areas locked away inside this game. And boy, the retro colors are coming back in style, so buckle up. Now, Super Mario Bros. Is a very iconic game, and today's generation might pick it up and go, well, what's the big deal? I don't understand. What they don't realize, however, is when this game came out, it changed everything. To put it simply, there was nothing else like it in the market when this game debuted in the US. So when it hit the ground running. Now, the video game industry in the United States was suffering from the video game crash of 1983. And of course, if you play all the popular games in that day, you'll see these games were very repetitious. There's pretty much one board or series of boards, one goal, and after you finish that goal, you advance in the levels, and you perform these actions over and over again until the game became so difficult that you just died and the game would end. And if you compare Super Mario Bros. With any of the games in the arcade at that time, they don't hold a candle to the game. So the Nintendo was released in the fall of 1985, and this was done to kind of capitalize on all the Christmas sales for that season. And of course, I wasn't aware of this video game system until the following year, my birthday of 1986, and I ended up getting that for my birthday. And the big games that came out around that time were Ghosts and Goblins. Now, Ghosts and Goblins sucked. I ended up getting that and Super Mario Bros. Even though I didn't like Ghosts and Goblins, the one game I really enjoyed was Super Mario Bros. What made this game so great was that every section of this game contains some kind of hidden treasure and unique item to find. I mean, just take this first little scene in the first level. There's 3 question mark blocks that we have to hit. We have no idea what's inside, and when we hit them, ooh, cool, there's coins and mushrooms. And of course, on top of that, you get to squish enemies. Then you can push the down button on certain pipes in this level, and then be transported to a whole new underground level. I mean, wow. This was a first for gamers, because little hidden things like this just did not exist in gaming back then. I mean, they even had hidden tricks with the flagpole at the end. If you time your jump just right, will determine if you get fireworks or not. I remember the first time I got fireworks, I was like, how the hell did that happen? Little did I realize it was the counter. So everything about this game was cool. The power-ups were cool, jumping on enemies was cool, and it was all new and different. And even the layout of these stages were very different. For example, in the first world, there are 4 different levels. And of course, once we get to the end of the 4th level, we see the final boss, and we kill him, and then we're treated to the final scene, correct? No, wrong, because we're told that the princess is in another castle. Now, in every other single game released up until this point, you would have to restart from the beginning of the game and replay the exact same levels over again. A great example of this is Donkey Kong. If you're able to clear out all 4 levels, then you get to go back to the first level and do it all over again. And every single game back then did this. Not Super Mario Bros., because once you cleared that final boss, you're not whisked away to the beginning of the game again. Nope, you're treated to a whole new world. And it was innovations like these that would forever change video games. And the coolest thing about this game was that the further you got into it, the more surprises you could uncover. We find vines that lead up to a coin world, opportunities for a one-up, cheeps that come up from the bottom of the screen to try to kill you, and these old platform things that's kind of an homage to the old Donkey Kong games. And of course, all this leads you back to another castle, to another main boss to defeat, and to another toad that tells you your princess is in another castle. Son of a bitch. And of course, we're off to World 3, which takes us to a night scene so that we can moonlight our way through the Mushroom Kingdom. Now, perhaps the single most awesome Easter egg of this game was the ability to travel outside of the playing field. It took me a long time to realize that, hey, wait a minute, in World 1, 2, you can actually travel on top of the world. Can you imagine doing that in games like Dig Dug? Nope, it just didn't happen. In fact, I guess you could say with the game of Mario, it was actually poking fun of all the things you can't do in the other games. And then, of course, doing this leads you to a warp pipe that leads you to other worlds. And it was things like this that made this game so iconic. Now, of course, since this game was such a success, they ended up making a sequel called Super Mario Bros. 2. And of course, when I made a review of this game over a decade ago, a lot of people missed the point.
I've always thought that this game was very iconic. It's just when you compare it to the very first installment and all the cool features that it contained,
it didn't make sense. These games did not match up. In the first game, you're smashing Goombas,
hitting question mark blocks,
and killing Bowser. And of course, in this installment, it takes all that and throws it away. Now we're going through these little doors, picking up enemies, and throwing vegetables? Did I miss something here? This is not a sequel that I was expecting when I wanted to play Super Mario Bros. And of course, when I found out that this game was not Super Mario Bros. When it was released in Japan, but a game called Doki Doki Panic,
it about blew my mind.
When they brought this game to the US, all they did was replace all the Doki Doki Panic characters with Super Mario characters, and thus slap the Super Mario logo on it. And yes, I'm going to reiterate, this is an iconic game, but what a slap in the face to people that absolutely loved Super Mario Bros. Now we're treated to this? It didn't make sense. But of course, all that was fixed when they came out with Super Mario Bros. 3. I remember when this game was about to come out, people were going nuts over this game. If you wanted to rent this game from a rental house, there were waiting lists that were months long just to play this game. You could not find it at retail, there was no eBay, there was no Amazon. If you found this game, you pretty much had gold. You could not find this game anywhere. Because this game was hidden with a plethora of new Easter eggs to find in this game, just like the first installment. I can't tell you how many hours I spent going through every stage, just hitting every single block you could reach, looking for hidden blocks, because there are Easter eggs in every single stage. It was insane! This game gave us everything we loved about the first game, as well as new graphics, and new power-ups, and even the warps were back. These games were incredible, and the impact that it had on kids was very, very powerful. Now fast forward a couple years later, and this little device right here was released called the Game Genie. And of course, Galoob, the creator of the Game Genie, really butt heads with Nintendo because Nintendo didn't want their games hacked with something like this, the Game Genie. And of course, the Game Genie would hack the game in ways we never dreamed of.
And as in the case with Super Mario Bros., there are literally 100 codes that can do just that.
Now in this game, we all know that there are 8 worlds to travel to in order to beat the game. But with this device, did you know you can access a 9th? Huh? Yep, insert this little code right here, and you'll be whisked away to World 9-1. What the hell? Holy hell, look at this level! A green castle, green blocks, and you get to swim through it? I had no idea this level was just sitting in this game here. Talk about trippy. Just look at all these colors. Neon reds, neon blues. After swimming through this level for a few seconds, the game freezes? Oh, come on, what the hell? Oh, let's try this again. Maybe if we try speeding through this level, we can get a little further in it.
Come on.
Ah, ass monkeys. Well, considering that this level is not even supposed to be in this game, that's probably why it's freezing up. But it's so cool to know that there's a World 9 locked somewhere in this game.
Alright, so let's open up the Game Genie codebook here and look at Super Mario Bros. And as you can see, there are tons of different codes we can input that'll change the game and alter it in some way.
Like this Matrix kind of thing going on here. Huh, weird. We can also input a code that adds a line of blocks throughout the entire world. Huh, this is kind of weird. Of course, it is problematic when trying to jump on the flagpole.
Okay. Then we have worlds like this with all kinds of glitches on the screen. Oh, get off! Ah, damn it. And then we have worlds like this that create a doubling effect.
Huh, now that's why I call some crazy double vision.
Oh, this level's giving me a headache. Forget this.
Now, even though these codes are pretty cool, the fact of the matter is, you're still playing through World 1-1, but with it being slightly altered in some way. And of course, this video is going to be all about visiting hidden worlds, not altered versions of World 1-1. And of course, we find one right here called the Turtle Castle. Insert this code, and we're whisked away to World B1. So wait a minute, let me get this straight. Not only is there a World 9 in this game, but there's also a World B? How come I've never heard about this shit anywhere before?
Huh, weird. Alright, well let's check this out.
And look at that, there's a turtle on the bottom of the screen. And there's one stuck in bricks. Wow, this is pretty cool. Well, at least there's mushrooms in this level. We also have turtles falling off the side of the screen. We have turtles on the top of the screen. And even more turtles inside bricks. Gotta love it. And at the end of this stage, we come to one of those bridge things. Huh, so I guess this really is a turtle castle. And probably the weirdest thing about this level is that there's a Goomba waiting for us instead of Toad.
And he can still hurt us? Ugh.
And of course you gotta love that ending. Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle. So who exactly is saying that to us? The Goomba that's trying to kill us? Alright, so in this point of the review, I want to point something out here because I haven't seen this laid out in any other forum on the internet. Now, if you take the code for World 9 and the code for World B, we see that it's the exact same code, but with only one letter being replaced. Now, if we take the normal Game Genie code setup and start to map out what each letter does, we surprisingly see a pattern start to emerge. The letter A will take us to World 9, and the letter Z will take us to World B. So does that mean by inserting the letter P will take us to World A? Let's find out. Insert the code here, and oh my gosh, look at that! World A1! And with this code, we're dropped into a cloud world, and not only that, but a cloud world you can swim through? Oh man, simply awesome! Yep, this is another trippy type world where the entire level is black except the area behind the coins. And of course, when we come to the point in the level where we're supposed to drop off, Mario gets to keep on swimming. Where exactly is he swimming? I'm not sure. But if we let him fall down to the bottom of the screen, the world restarts all over again. Alright, cool. So now we can add this world to the map here, and the pattern starts to emerge. And that must mean L here probably takes us to World C. Oh, and there we have World C1. Ha, yes! And here we have another underwater level that, also has turtles? Oh, well that's a first. And of course, just like with the last level, we see these enemies in places where they shouldn't be. And check this out, there's also a coin block underwater too, which, we can't get. But if you think that's trippy, just check this out. An underwater castle bridge. First I've seen of these too. Alright, well enough of this. On to World D. And here we are underwater again, and now we see those blocks that are supposed to have fire attached to them, but there's no fire. One thing you might notice about this level is the lack of enemies. Yep, there are no enemies in sight, only a few coins, some water inside a water level? Huh, that's weird. And some seaweed. And of course at the end we get that iconic line. Yep, just thrilling. On to World E! Alright, here we go, World E1! What the hell was that? That game starts and you just fall off the screen?
Well, this level's a big giant flaming turd. Ugh.
Alright, on to F1. So here we have another level that looks just like A1, but slightly different. But of course the way this level ends is exactly the same. Swimming around in complete darkness.
And you just go swimming around forever until, yeah, that happens.
Alright, now it's on to World G. And, G, look at this. Looks just like World 1 too. As we go through this world, everything is pretty much the same.
The only difference occurs when we take one of the warp pipes at the end of the level.
And of course, this pipe takes us to a world that's evidently so cool that it doesn't need to be represented by a letter. Talk about your smug asshole worlds.
And there's nothing too crazy to find here, just a normal underwater level. If you manage to reach the end, well, you'll be able to replay this level all over again, but the only difference is that it renames itself G1 again?
Huh, so how's that work? Alright, so if we look at the overall Game Genie tree that we've created here,
and start plugging in the corresponding worlds we found,
well, it looks like we've exhausted all the possibilities that would take us to level H. But you know what? I am kind of curious to know which levels lie in between all these worlds. Alright, time to input that letter E there, and see what happens. Now I find ourselves in world, what in the fuck is that? A bent curlicue level? And of course when the level starts, this level is just as weird as the symbol it's represented by. This level has a weird looking bluish hue to it, and actually, it's all automatic. If I push any button here, it doesn't do anything. You just kind of wander through it. Well, that's kind of stupid. A level on autopilot? And of course, this party comes to an abrupt halt when you reach one of these bricks here. Ugh, looks like this game's over. No wonder they don't call him Jumpman anymore. Alright, well let's go ahead and input the O here.
What the hell's with all these symbols? After playing through this level a couple seconds here, we find that it looks exactly like D1.
Alright, moving on and inputting the letter X. Yeah, this is kind of trippy looking. Now the further we get into this level, we see it's pretty evident that this is just an alternate world 1-1, but just with a different color palette and different objects filling up the level. And if you reach the end,
we then find ourselves in, level 2? I wasn't expecting this kind of a level. But anyway, you slice it, this one is just as trippy as the first one.
and of course reaching the third level in this series brings you to this weird stage.
And holy hell, there's King Koopa! What's he doing outside of the castle? Well, gosh damn, he just kicked my butt! Once reaching the fourth level and defeating that,
We then find ourselves in, World 5? Well that's another first for this game. 5 levels in a world?
now as for the rest of these symboled worlds here, well, they don't do anything special. If we go ahead and input the letter U, we find ourselves in an underwater world that's a subworld in the castle of 8-4.
Alright, so now that I've exhausted all the possibilities for this code, well, we have to use another code to reach World H1, which is, another water level. Alright, there we go. And, well, nothing new here, just a really short water level to swim through. And talk about one of the shortest worlds ever, there's the ending pipe already. Alright, well, time to input the letter P. Hopefully this will take us to World I1. And upon playing this stage, we find, well, there's nothing fancy going on here. This is an actual stage from the game. Reach the end of this stage, and we're treated to level I2, which oddly enough takes you back to the beginning of the level again, just like World H does. Other than that, nothing really weird going on here, except that shell floating upside down. Yep, that's damn weird. Alright, well, time to input the code for J1. And here we have yet again another water level, and there's nothing new here because, well, this is the same exact level as World D1. Alright, let's see if we'll have any luck with World K1. Now we're talking, a level we haven't seen before. And just look at all the crazy things going on in this level. Goombas falling off the screen, turtles showing up when they're not supposed to. And yep, this level is pretty darn interesting, especially with all the glitches found here. I just love finding worlds like this in the game. And a bullet bill? Well, wait a minute, we can actually break these bricks? That's a pretty cool glitch. But of course, nothing can top this. A bullet bill flying by, even though you've already defeated the level. Only in these lost worlds. Alright, well let's see if World L has the same kind of excitement for us. And unfortunately no, because this level comes to us straight out of World 8. And World M1 also suffers the problem of being the exact same level as World H. Anything new here in World N1? Confound it all, this is just another World 8 level. World O is the exact same as World A. Alright, so now that we've exhausted all the lettered worlds that this code can bring us, it's now time to visit all the worlds with no letters associated to them. So if we input the letter E here, it takes us to World Wavy Water level? What the hell is that? Well, whatever it is, all it does is dump us into a copycat level of World 1-2. But sadly, the duplicate levels just keep on coming with O, K, S, V, and N, because these levels are all found in the actual game. And by inserting U into the code, well, all we get is a blank screen. But thankfully by inputting X, things start getting interesting as we end up in a snowy underwater level. Whoa, hey now, watch out for that big fire stick that came out of nowhere. We also have this spring here that actually still works underwater, and it'll knock us off the screen for a few seconds until we can return. There he is. Of course, later in the level, we have all kinds of other oddities like fire sticks just hanging in the air, fish swimming through the sky, other fire sticks randomly popping up. We also have more fish, we have Bowser's fire, and blink and you'll miss it, Spiney's falling off the cliffs too. There's even an underwater flagpole at the end too? Cool. Okay, so let's get ourselves an all-new code so we can access World P. And this time we're whisked away into a cloud level that we actually get to swim through, and also has enemies in it. Crying out loud. Yep, this level is filled with fire sticks and Koopa Troopas. Managed to make it to the end of P1, and you'll have to redo this experience all over again. You lucky kid. Now we have Q1. Check that out. We have neon greens, neon pinks, and best of all, we get to swim through this level. Now this is an actual stage in the game, but since the colors are different and you get to swim through it, I'm just going to say that this is a new level altogether. And of course, once reaching the end, we find a neon green castle. And once making it to level Q2, we find yet another underwater level that looks just like all the rest we've been finding in these hidden levels. Alright, now it's on to stage R1. And if you're looking for something cool in this level, well, better look elsewhere, because, well, this is an actual stage from the game too. Just don't die in this level, because once you do, you'll have to endure this kind of crap. You never know what's going to happen in these levels. Alright, on to S1. And unfortunately, this world is also in the game that comes to us straight from level 8. And right off the bat, we see Mario going underground. But of course, once getting to the next screen, we find ourselves in a cloud level. So wait a minute, you go down to go up? Yeah, nothing makes sense here. Now this is probably one of the coolest levels this code will give us, because there's clouds everywhere, enemies on top where they shouldn't be, Hammer Brothers throwing hammers down below, and of course all this comes to a screeching halt when we get blocked by a stupid pipe. Aw, man. Well, I guess this level was fun while it lasted. On to level U! And unfortunately, this level is the exact same as World G1. Well, I guess there's always World V1, right? Well, no, because this is also level R1. Alright, well the last new world we can access with this code is World W1. And the layout of this level looks pretty cool. Well, until you actually want to play it, because after starting, the damn thing freezes on you. Doggone it, I can't even move in this level. Alright, we'll scratch that level off the list. Alright, so that pretty much exhausts all the lettered levels. Now it's time to check out all the levels that give us those crazy symbols. And the first one here gives us a level of underscore. Underscore? Well, despite the weirdness of that, we find ourselves in another G1 water level. Well, that was underwhelming. In fact, if we start exhausting all the other letters in this code, we find just a whole lot of repetition. But if you thought the repetition was bad with the last code, well, you haven't seen nothing yet. When we head off to level X1, well, we find that it's a World 8 castle in disguise. Once uncovering World Y, we find ourselves in another water level that, damn it, it's the same one from G1 again. Well, guess what? I'm not gonna dignify this level by finishing it. How you like them apples? Yeah, just sit there until the timer runs out and kills you, you dope. And if you think level Z is any better, well, you'd be wrong. Because instead of giving us something really cool and new, we end up getting the same exact level as Y1. Alright, so if we look at the Game Genie letters for this code, you might ask, well, what lies ahead? Input the letter L, and we find ourselves in this world, which is... Oh, come on, we've already seen this level before. Input the letter E, O, X, and U. These letters will all take you to the exact same level. While letter Y will take us to a world called -1. Well, I certainly didn't expect that. Wonder what's here. Ooh, Legend of Zelda! Alright! And of course, with that last letter, we've exhausted all the letter combinations in this code. Now, interestingly enough, if you take all 4 codes that I've been laying out, we see a common theme here. It's pretty much the exact same code, but we're switching out 1 or 2 letters in the third part of this code. In fact, we can even keep switching out these letters to find even more new stages in this game. In fact, there are probably hundreds upon hundreds of other levels found in this game. And of course, I found this to be a really cool thing to stumble across. So there you have it, the entire alphabet of levels revealed in one huge video. And despite that, the princess was still nowhere to be found. So where the hell was she hiding anyway? Dracula's castle? Millen's secret castle? Dr. Wily's castle? Or could it be Wario's castle and she's just trying to get some on the side? Toasty! We'll just keep that secret between us.